With how everyone is summoning LD5 left, right, center with a 10-year scroll, I think it is time to revisit the LD5 tier list. So today, we are doing exactly that. And I also have some TOA gameplay in the background for all you Gen Z viewer out there. For the tier list, I will have S tier for being very good in multiple aspects of the game, A tier being the same thing but not as good, and then we have RTA focused unit, guild PvP focused unit, some PvE only unit, and some very average unit in general, and some bad unit. There has to be that tier. Also, this is my personal opinion. It should not affect your enjoyment of your own LD5, okay? If you like using them, you should keep using them if that unit brings you enjoyment. With that in mind, let's start with Artemiel. I think Artemiel is in the A tier. I think he is good in both RTA and guild PvP, but it's not really top tier anymore. He used to be like really good, but now with how many control unit there are, how many defense break there are, he is okay, but he's still pretty decent in many aspects of the game. Fermion is like Artemiel, also good in guild content, can use in RTA, but definitely not a very RTA focused unit. You know what? I'm gonna put Fermion in the guild PvP section because he's mainly used for guild offense and guild defense. Light Art Master, I think this guy is average. After watching more Hanwoo video on YouTube while editing this video, I realized that he's actually pretty fun and I really want one now. So I will put him into the A tier because he seemed really good in arena cleave and guild offense. The same can apply for the Dark Art Master as well. I think the strip not being consistent and he doesn't provide any crazy utility make him average in all PvP aspects. I've seen this guy pop up in some guild defense before, but very easily counter. Like Beast Monk, I think this guy is very popular in guild PvP with the Revenge and Skill 1 strip defense break, making him a very solid defense unit, and having a lot of utility allow him to be a good offense unit as well if you want to build a bruiser offense. Unlike the White Brother, the Dark Brother is bad. I might be biased about Rahul, but I think he's just bad. I don't see him in any defense. I don't see him being popular in any offense. He doesn't provide any healing, and overall, he's just not really good. Shawn. Okay, Shawn I think is going to be in the S tier. Shawn is very good in RTA, potentially very good in guild PvP as well. The speed buff, the damage, the CC makes him a very well-rounded damage dealer. Also, the fact that if you're faster with your speed buff, then you don't need to have any crit rate on your unit at all, so you can do very big damage with skill 2 without worrying about crit rate, which is a big bonus for any damage dealer. Zeratu, I think he's more of an average or guild PvP unit. I'm gonna put him into guild PvP. There was a period of time where the defense meta had so many Zeratu in it, and he is a decent, fun offense toy as well. You don't really see Zeratu in RTA a whole lot because controlling him and killing him is very easy, but in guild PvP where you can direct the attention away from Zeratu, then I think he is much easier to use and can be very fun as well. But because of Kiki, his time on defense was not really long and countering him is pretty easy. So now he's more of an average unit. Light Demon. Some might say this guy is S tier, and I have to agree. He makes your Lucian cleave so much easier. Leo, Light Demon, and Lucian. And he's also popular in PvE, boosting your team damage. And he's good in both RTA, Arena, and Guild PvP. So I think Light Demon is gonna be in the S tier. On the other hand, Dark Demon has to be on the average tier. I think he's pretty fun when he works, but then in RTA he get hard countered by cooldown reset. In guild PvP, he's not really that special compared to the Water Demon, which is very popular. So I would say he is an average LD5. Like Polar Queen, I think she can be very good for a lot of PvP content if you just give her a bit more in the skill 3, maybe some attack bar reduction, maybe one extra debuff, because right now she's a very good last pick in RTA. A lot of people has to respect this last pick, but she's not very popular because if you miss one of the debuff, you might lose the game instantly. So I think Light Polar Queen is more of an average unit. I think she can shine really well in TOA Hell, but a lot of people don't even do TOA Hell, so you don't really care about the use of the Light Polar Queen. So I think right now she is average. For last pick in RTA, she's a must ban in some cases, so you can use her in that regards or you can not use her at all. So I think she's average. But on the other hand, her dark sister, Nephthys, is definitely in the S tier, maybe even higher tier than the other two units, because she's usable in not only PvE, PvP, pretty much anything in the game because she provides AoE debuff, and one of them is going to be defense break. She also has a speed lead that is universal, so you can use her in all different content in the game, and she's one of the best starter LD5 out there. I think because of that, I want to put her into a new tier on her own because she is that good. Light Dragon. So Light Dragon is very good in PvE if you have God tier rune that allow him to one-shot wave, and that is not easy at all. Light Dragon is also very fun for a lot of cleave in PvP in both Guild and RTA. So I think I'm going to put Light Dragon in the A tier because being able to use him is not a very easy thing compared to Nephthys. You need speed, and that's pretty much it. You can have her on attack, HP, whatever. But for Light Dragon, you need a specific build, very good rune to make him work well. So he's not easy to build, so definitely not the S tier that I want to put in. Next up, we have Dark Dragon. I think he deserves to be in the A tier as well because if you have this guy, your arena cleave is going to be so much better. You can also use him for guild cleave against many different teams. Being a dark unit, doing insane damage, making him very easy to build. And he's definitely usable in many different PvP content. So I'm going to put him into the A tier. Light Dragon Knight. I would say this guy has to be in the bad tier. I feel bad putting unit into this. That's not Rahul. But I think Jäger deserves to be in the bad tier. Sometimes I feel like this unit is a bad Fire Dragon Knight. And he doesn't do anything special. He's not excelling in any different PvP content. So nobody really liked using him. And they feel very disappointed when he doesn't revenge, for example. This unit is waiting for another buff to come to us. He has been buffed like 2-3 times now, and he is still kind of terrible. On the other hand, we have Ragdoll, one of the most popular LD5 in the game, but he's not S tier in my opinion. He's more an RTA unit. You don't see him being used in other PvP content a lot. Most of the time, he's really good in RTA. He can be used in Bruiser, CC, or whatever kind of draft you want to put him in. And having more attack bar is always amazing. I think at this point, he has been nerfed like once or twice. But he's still very popular and still being used by one of the highest ranking player out there. Valantis, another RTA-focused unit, but I think I've seen Valantis being used in Siege offense nowadays as well, thanks to the debuff and the strip, allowing him to be used with Nora or any other AoE dot unit that will make him really shine. So I think he's gonna be in the A tier now because he's utilized in different PvP content. Pada, the Dark Druid, I think is going into the A tier as well because he's a very decent generic AoE immunity cleanse healing damage dealer unit, like a jack of all trade, but not really excelling in any of that. So it's gonna be in the A tier instead of being in any specific content because I think he can be used in both RTA and guild content. Oberon. Ooh, Oberon is also really good. And definitely being a one-shot ignore defense damage dealer make him a very good unit for all PvP. So I'm going to put Oberon into the S tier because building him is simple. You need a good damage dealer set and everyone has some sort of damage dealing set. And he's going to be usable instantly with any attack buff out there. Not needing defense break is a huge plus in this game because of the 15% resistance. Nyx. Oh, Nyx, I'm not too sure. I really dislike this unit because you can never know when Nyx is working for you due to the fact that you can't see his passive in the work most of the time. Sometimes you can see your opponent not landing debuff on your team ever. Sometimes they land all the debuff all the time. You just don't know when this guy is going to work. The skill 2 is very inconsistent as well. So I think he's more of an average or maybe even bad unit because I like consistency. So I would say he's bad, but I think he's more of an average LD5. Like, you can still use him. He can still provide a nice layer of bad RNG for the enemy on your defense, for example. So I think Nyx is okay. Celia. I see Celia mostly in guild PvP defense. I don't even see her on offense. But she's being used up until today a lot on defense with a speed leader and a damage dealer follow-up because of her high base speed and a constant sleep and anti-buff, making her a very good option for defense. And that's where she shined the most on the Swift build. Vivachel, I think she is S tier for me, and with the event, everybody can pick a Leo, and with Leo, she becomes super strong, allowing Leo to one-shot, giving them full attack bar, very popular in RTA and also easy to use in guild PvP, with Leo and another damage dealer, and she is just absolutely amazing. You can build her on a Swift build to go turn 1 and boost your Leo, or you can build her on a Vile build slower and trap the enemy, allowing them to move first, and then swap their attack bar and one-shot their team. Next up, we have Aima. She feels like Nephthys, but not really. No speed lead, but great damage. And amazing cleave unit because of the defense break and the dots. So I'm going to put Aima into the ST as well. Very fun to play with and usable in both PvP content, even in arena potentially. Cracker. Oh, I think Cracker has to be in the A tier. She has strip into defense break, but it is very inconsistent. But when she does her job, it is very fun. She's usually built on Despair, Speaker at HP, and she is faster than the other units, so she can open up with strip, defense break, and the revive can be fun to combo with unit like Shizuka or pretty much anything that need a skill instantly after they get revived, like one-shot unit for example. Sylvia, God tier in guild PvP defense, and not sure how good she is on offense though, but I think she can be good as well with the speed lead. But one of the strongest unit on guild PvP meta right now, super good on defense with many different combinations like Odin or Byung-chun or Theomas or whatever. Okay, any damage dealer works really well with her on defense. Han the Dark Ninja has to be in the S tier, very usable in both PvP content, very fun playstyle, good speed leader to combo with other LD5 that you have, so great unit overall. The Bay. Ooh, the Bay I think is gonna be in the average tier or the guild PvP tier. But putting the Bay next to Sylvia is kind of an insult to Sylvia, so I'm gonna put the Bay into the average tier. He's okay. I'm not too sure actually. I never really feel any threatened by the Bay, and I don't see anyone use the Bay that much on offense, so I'm gonna put him into the average tier, hoping they buff the Bay one more time because the Bay really need to be buffed to be more relevant. Wedjet. Oh, this guy is more of an RTA unit. I don't see Wedjet being used in other content at all, but the speed lead, the constant attack bar buff, the healing, the protection that he can provide, very good in RTA, very irrelevant in other content, much like Ragdoll. On Yoki, people are saying this guy do very shit damage and weaker than Kaki. True, because Kaki has innate damage boost right off the bat. Meanwhile, this guy needs to be stunned to do that. But this guy is very hard to kill sometimes and can be quite annoying and can turn the table around. I think he's okay. I've seen him being used in mostly RTA and not other PvP content, and he's okay in that content. He's good. He's not bad. But it's just that you feel like the turn 1 damage doesn't do as well as Kaki, then you feel like Onyoki is shit. But he's not, okay? He's very strong. On a random note, I think Veromos is going to be the S tier unit because of how good he is in PvE. He's also very good in PvP, countering many of the debuff unit here, countering Nephthys. So I think Veromos is S tier. Gelnir. Okay, Gelnir is going to be in the same tier as Sylvia, very popular for your guild defense, potentially good for your guild offense as well. A bit worse than Sylvia for sure because Sylvia is just more fun to play with more damage output, but Gelnir is absolutely incredible in guild PvP. On the other hand, the Dark Gelnir Hurted, I'm not sure about this unit though. Like, you get it, you're gonna use it one time to get very big score in your PvE run, but then your daily farming team may not have him, and he's not relevant in guild PvP defense meta anymore. He used to be relevant for a while like Zeratu, but now not really, and nobody really uses this guy for any team that I've seen so far, so I'm gonna put him into the average tier for now. If you know a team, let me know in the comment section down below. Light Bison or the Light Slayer. I think he's a very decent unit. I'm going to put him into the A tier. He provides good buff. He's relevant in both guild defense, guild offense, arena offense maybe. Some RTA team as well. You have very good Swift rune, but not very easy to use because of the slow base speed. So I'm going to put him into the A tier. The moment he get awakened into speed, which I don't believe that will happen, he's going to be in here. But so far, he's gonna be A tier. Dark Bison used to be God tier in RTA, now average tier in everything else. Unfortunately, he was good for like a couple months. He dominated Summoners of World Final Championship and then got nerfed to the ground, and now he's average. Or some may say even bad. Can I put him into the bad tier? I think I can put him into the bad tier because nobody uses this guy at all whatsoever. Dorothy used to be in the bad tier, but now buffed with a speed lead to be good, and I think it's gonna be a decent unit for guild PvP offense, and that is pretty much it. I'm not sure if she's gonna be relevant in RTA though because the destroy effect worked much better in guild PvP content. But right now, I think she's okay for guild PvP cleave. Kiki. Oh, I think Kiki is gonna be in the S tier. Very relevant in guild defense because of the random debuff, and you can build as a tank and she can still do massive damage with the debuff, and also very relevant in RTA as a last pick for debuff. And she doesn't need to be built specifically for anything, so making her easier to build. So I think Kiki is gonna be in the S tier. Very much like Nephthys, but she put out debuff every single turn, but she doesn't have a speed lead. Light Monkey. Ooh, I think Light Monkey is gonna be in the S tier as well. He's definitely relevant in RTA and guild offense thanks to the super hard control that he can do. Very high base speed, making him very fast, and you can just build him with speed, HP, accuracy, and he's gonna do so much control for you. Dark Monkey, on the other hand, I think is gonna be in the average tier. He's very inconsistent with the skill 3, doesn't provide crazy control. He does do an okay job at setting up for follow-up damage, but because of no attack bar manipulation in the kit, having him in the team require you to speed tune much harder. So very hard to build a team around him. So I think he's gonna be a fun toy, but definitely gonna be average in terms of performance. Laura, I think she is insane in both guild PvP and RTA. Definitely gonna be S tier because she has been nerfed like twice now potentially, and maybe even one more time. Definitely not like you know what? I'm gonna put her into the SS tier because for new player, I think using her in TOA is gonna be absolutely mind-blowing as well because she provides control and a lot of protection and speed buff for the team. And I think she's just amazing. Super high base speed, do so many things in one unit. Nikki, oh my god, Nikki is also very incredible for all PvP content, potentially for your PvE as well. Being able to heal, attack buff, do good damage is very, very good. But you need very good artifact on her so that she can do the damage that she can do. So I think she's gonna be in the S tier for now. If she has speed buff like Laura, she's gonna jump into the SS tier instantly for RTA. This girl is more of an RTA unit to counter multiple buff enemy and also counter debuff enemy. Very good in RTA, but not very relevant in other content. Also very boring playstyle, so I will not put her into any tier higher than that. Dark Omiyonji, I think it's gonna be in the A tier. She's good in RTA for the one shot with the skill 3. Also relevant in some defense in guild content because that skill is very hard to counter, and she can also be used for guild offense if you want to one-shot something through the revive and all that stuff. Lima. Ooh, I think Lima is going to be in the A tier as well. I've seen her being used in both defense and offense in guild PvP at very, very good performance and also very good in RTA. But building her so that she can do good damage, crit all the time, and being fast is not an easy job. So a very efficient speed crit HP build with good artifact is not an easy thing to do. So I'm going to put her into the A tier. Giana used to be up here, but now I think she's an average unit. Of course, I'm biased because I have her and I've been using her for so long. But I don't think Giana is relevant in any meta whatsoever. And there's so many units that can counter her, making her an average LD5 now. Doesn't mean she's bad. She is average. Leona. I'm gonna put Leona into the bad tier. Wow, another unit that you have her, Shawn. Yes, Leona is going to be in the bad tier because she's not relevant in any PvP content. And almost everybody has stripped or defense break or both in their kit nowadays. So making her passive very shit because they can counter her so easily. She can't solo people like how she did in the past. And she's not good in anything. Pretty much. She's like bad. Light Panda Tian Lang. We're gonna put Tian Lang into the S tier here. Tian Lang is good in the guild defense. Not sure about guild offense performance though, but in RTA, definitely one of the best counter pick out there. So until he's nerfed one more time, he's gonna be in the S tier. I'm gonna put Miying into the A tier. He's definitely good for guild offense and some last pick in RTA as well. If you want a damage dealer that can solo the enemy and they don't have a lot of damage. But Miying is definitely not easy to use. He might fall into average, to be honest, because he's not too special. You know what? I'm going to put Miying into average, okay? Some people might say Miying's really good, but some people might also say Miying is very shit. I've seen both arguments, and I think Miying is somewhere in the middle. Just Light Bird. I think I'm going to put Light Bird into the average. She's a unit that sounds really good on paper, but when you actually use her, you realize that you're either going to miss the strip defense break or she will die way too fast due to the base stat, and she's also very slow at the same time. So I'm gonna put her into average because if I need a strip defense break unit nowadays, Gemini is all I need for the most part. Jara. I think Jara is gonna be in the A tier for me. Very, very solid unit. You can put her in some PvE team, but she's not gonna be your solo defense breaker due to the fact that she can miss half the time. No, more like 15% of the time. She's very good in PvP now thanks to the passive buff. She doesn't need crit rate anymore, so her damage output is off the chart. Very fun to use, but not easy. So using her in PvP can be quite tricky, but in guild content, she's absolutely slapping. So I'm gonna put her into the A tier. Very solid unit. She used to be in the bad tier, by the way, but now she's in the A tier. Neong is relevant in guild defense, arena defense. Neong is not really relevant in RTA, so I think I'm gonna put Neong into the PvP guild section because that's where you see Neong the most, and that's where Neong can really shine the most. Protect your team against one-shot unit, can be built with trap builds, super tanky, and can also do decent damage. Dark Neong, what's his name again? I can't remember. This guy is a turn 1 strip, but you can miss with him, but he's really, really fast, and you can see him being used mostly in RTA. He can also be used in arena cleave. You know why I want to put him into A tier? Because he's also relevant in arena offense. You bring a 33% speed lead with him, and then you bring Galleon and another follow-up damage like Samav, Dark Neong. What is his name again? I can't remember. The Dark Pioneer, Samav, Galleon plus a damage dealer. And you can outspeed most 33 speed lead Zen out there. No problem. And cleave them. Light Polar Queen. Ooh, Obabo LD5. This one's gonna be rough because Obabo make her really, really good. But you know what? She's actually really, really good. I'm gonna put her into the S tier, giving your teammate cooldown reduction, attack bar boost, a lot of damage, high base speed, very simple to use. I think, actually, is she simple to use? I couldn't use her properly. But she's really good, trust me. I have so many friends that has this unit and they all love her. She's definitely gonna be an S tier unit for me. I think Dark Polar Queen is gonna be an average unit because I don't think she is that good. In RTA, if you know how to play around her, she's not really a threat because you can control her very easily. And in guild PvP, she's not any special compared to other AoE damage dealer that can do big damage. So she's just like, okay. She's not bad. I think she can be fun. She can counter cleave because of the reflect damage, but I don't think she is like super good. Dark Striker. Dark Ryu. So this guy strip and make debuff last longer, which is kind of cool in bed but not in RTA. So I think he's gonna be in the average tier as well. I don't see this guy being used competitively in RTA at all, and I don't see him used in Siege at all. But I think people are kind of underestimating him. I think the biggest problem with this guy is a skill 2. He has an AoE strip and debuff, very cool, but then after that, he's kind of useless because the skill 2 is a single target branding, which doesn't make sense with the kit at all. If they change the skill 2 to something that can follow up with real debuff and not branding, like a PvE unit, I think he can jump to the A tier for sure. But now he's going to be in the average tier. Light Striker, he is definitely one of the better unit for AoE damage dealer. He can buff himself, which make him very easy to build, do good damage, great for cleave, but not very easy to set up. So I think he's gonna be in the A tier, but if you know how to use him, this guy is like triple S tier for cleavers, but for an average player, I think he's gonna be in the A tier. Just a very simple, easy to use damage dealer. Use him with Gemini and a buffer, and you can cleave so many things out there in guild PvP. Dark Banana Man. I think this guy is going to be in the... I've used him in RTA, it's kind of fun. I've used him in guild PvP, it's kind of fun. But I think he's more of like an average unit. You will see him from time to time in guild defense, but it's not like crazy. He's just kind of unique and people don't really know how to counter him instantly and they might lose because they underestimate him. But I think he's more of like an average unit and not super crazy. What about Pontos? This guy has speed lead, protection, very, very solid unit. I'm going to put him into the S tier because he provides a lot of protection for the team, provides silence for the AoE debuff as well. Good in both RTA, guild offense, guild defense. Guild defense, use him with Katarina. It's kind of funny. So him, Katarina, and another damage dealer or buffer is going to be a solid guild defense too. Very good unit. I like it a lot. If he can be buffed to give a bit of healing somewhere in the kit, I think it's gonna be incredible. Yon Hong, ooh, the one that I could have summoned. I think Yon Hong is gonna be in the S tier. Very good turn 1 contest, very good damage, amazing healing, a lot of turn cycling. So I think she's gonna be in the S tier. Meanwhile, Warrior I think is gonna be in the A tier. She's good in Arena, she's good in RTA for the speed lead, but it is very hard to use her in RTA without amazing runes. But in Arena, you can use her with like Lucian, Julie, Kaki, and she's gonna do an amazing job in there. Light Surf Boy is very underrated, I would say. I think Light Surf Boy is a very decent RTA unit because he's a neutral element AoE pushback plus damage dealer in one single unit. If you know how to use him properly, I think he is definitely gonna be amazing. And nobody really talk about him, but every time I fight this guy, it is a nightmare because every time I fight him, it is somebody that know how to use him, and they will apply pushback with Chung Pung and then follow up with this guy and deal massive damage to my anti-CC team. Even Fire Monkey, Camilla will fall to him very, very quickly. Dark Surf Boy. Okay, this guy is very niche, but he's like Ragdoll, but better when you fight attack by pushback player. When they don't have any attack by pushback, he is meaningless. But you can also pair him with Ciara, Verd, and Diana to make them turn cycle like crazy because he also boosts that aspect of your team as well. So he's a very niche RTA unit, but not bad. I think he's not bad at all. Light Totemist, another super underrated unit for RTA. I think this unit is incredible. A lot of healing, support, and cooldown support for the team. Very annoying even when picked with a CC team or a bruiser team. I think she's amazing. Dark Totemist is being used in guild PvP instead of Nora sometimes because they want to use another Nora but they don't have a Nora, but they happen to have a Dark Totemist and she's being used there. But for the most part I think she's average because nobody uses thing for offense, and even being on defense she's not that scary and there are many ways to one-shot her. So I think she's gonna be an average unit. Somehow the fire element is the better version of this unit. Dark Cannon Girl. Another unit that looks really good when high-level player use, but when you actually use her, she does very shitty damage because your artifact is very bad. So I'm going to put her into the A tier due to the sheer difficulty of building her, but when you can build her right, she will rise into the S tier thanks to the insane damage she can do. But for now, I think she's going to be in the A tier. And she's okay in PvP for guild, PvP for RTA, but not easy to build at all. Ooh, Light Horse, an LD5 that I have. I think this unit is very, very good for guild PvP and also usable in RTA, but definitely not super top tier. I'm going to put her into the A tier. If they buff her healing to be 30%, she might jump to the S tier, or they buff her anti-crit and anti-glancing, glancing and anti-crit to like a higher percentage. I think she can go to the S tier, but now she's going to be the A tier. I use her a lot in guild offense because I really need the light tank. And also she can be used on arena defense to give an extra layer of RNG, but then that's more like Nyx. You don't know when it's gonna work anyway. Dark Horse. We have seen her in RTA, I've seen her in guild content. I think she is an A tier unit. I don't personally like her a lot, but I think her being used in RTA to counter cleave, counter damage team thanks to the reflect damage, and her being used in guild PvP instead of the fire horse sometimes with Leo, I think she's okay. Another LD5 that I have, Narsha. I think Narsha is very popular in guild defense. Not sure about guild offense though. I'd rather use auto ignore defense option. She's also okay in RTA, but very high rune requirement. So I'm going to put her into the A tier. Very fun to play with, but very, very hard to build. Dark Beast Rider. Oh, this one is rough because she doesn't provide speed buff like Savannah, and her silence is 50% only. So I think Dark Beast Rider is more of an average unit. I don't think she's any special in guild defense. You can counter her very easily, or you can just kill her quickly as well. And she's not popular in RTA at all or any other PvP content. So I think she's gonna be an average unit. Chroma. A unit that when you look at highlight on YouTube seems very OP, but when you actually use her, I don't know why she died very, very fast because people really draft wrongly with her. I think she's going to be in the A tier. She's going to be an amazing bruiser because she's immune to all debuff, which make her very unique in this game. But building her to be tanky and deal damage at the same time is not easy at all. And people often forget to draft a healer with her and she just dies. She can't solo shit. So I think she's going to be in the A tier because of how good she is, but very hard to play. Trinity, speed leader, but being regarded as one of the worst LD5 in the game due to the base stat and damage output. But I think she's gonna be in the A tier because of the speed leader. And Cleaver love Trinity. Any Cleaver out there would put Trinity in this tier because they really want this unit over Samath because she's dark and her damage is really good as well in their mind because they have the runes for her. So I'm gonna put her into the A tier. She can be usable, but for a casual player, she's probably gonna be meh. But for a Cleaver, she's gonna be double S tier. Light Vampire Julian. Oh my god, this guy is an S tier for me. He's used in a lot of Guild War defense and offense, and he's used in RTA a lot as a insane OP broken damage dealer. So he's gonna be in the S tier for me. Dark Vampire Cadiz Nuts is gonna be... I think he's gonna be in the A tier. I think he's usable in your defense for guild content. And he's definitely usable in your PvE as well, like your R5, for example, or your Steel Fortress. So he's gonna be in the A tier. So far, we have 0 PvE only LD5, huh? Because if they're using PvE, they also use in other content as well. Light Weapon Master. I think this guy is very relevant in guild defense, and I think I'm gonna put him there because he's not relevant in RTA or other content at all. But in guild defense and guild offense, I think he's a very, very solid unit. Maximilian is very close to the double S tier in my opinion, personally, because he's very similar to Nephthys, but you trade the consistency for the damage output and speed leader and AoE defense break and debuff and damage follow-up. Very, very solid unit in all PvP of the game. Not arena though, but RTA and guild content, this guy is super, super popular. I'm gonna put him into the SS tier. Light Shadow Boy. Okay, honestly, I don't see this guy being used at all. I might even put him into the bad tier. I think they need to buff the shadow to be irresistible. That will make him really good. But right now, nobody really uses him. I think he's gonna be in the average tier. Okay, not bad, because when he lands his thing and he does the damage, it can be very fun to watch. But most of the time, he will disappoint you. Dark Shadow Guy. Also think that this guy is average. He's not very relevant in any content whatsoever. They need to buff these guys to have a shadow irresistible so that they can be consistent and good. But now, they're just not relevant at all. Light Battle Angel. Used to be this tier, but I think I'm gonna put her down a notch into the S tier because of the many buffs she has received over the years. So now she is still very strong, but not as strong as before. Dark Battle Angel, I think is a solid A tier unit. People say she's like a worse version of Sonya, but she can kill things that has passive, which is really fun. But because being a glass cannon make her very, very easy to die. So in RTA, you need to have a very good draft with her or else she will just fall very quickly. But in guild content, if you set up her right, she just one-shot everything, which is a very convenient and amazing unit to use. Light Pure Vanilla Cookie. Revive that can't be reset, but I see nobody uses this unit whatsoever. I'm actually going to put this unit into the bad tier because nobody actually uses. I've never seen this thing used at all. I fought her once and twice in RTA when she was first released or he was first released, and it was not a threat whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Dark Pure Vanilla Cookie I think is gonna be a great RTA unit. A bit too slow to be used in guild content, but for RTA I think she's a great stripper. Can be built on Vile or Swift and provide strip, slow, and oblivion. The only downside is the low base speed, but very, very good unit. Light Macaron Guard. Okay, this unit is definitely underrated. For now, I think it's a decent unit for guild PvP for your defense and offense. I've seen this unit pop up in RTA once in a while, but not very, very popular. But in guild PvP, definitely gonna be an underrated unit. Dark Macaron Guard. Okay, this unit is super popular in all PvP content of the game. Definitely gonna be S tier here. Amazing for arena defense, guild war defense, amazing for offense potentially as well. Amazing in RTA too with the protection and the damage output. Very, very solid unit and also do good damage and a lot of turn cycling at the same time. I think Light Puppeteer is very solid. I'm going to put Light Puppeteer in the A tier right now because of the low base speed, but the utility he can provide is amazing. Very long duration of buff together with cooldown support and healing. Very well-rounded supporter. Dark Puppeteer, I think is a niche unit for RTA because of the anti-CC passive, the bomb, the heal. I think he's also really good and very underrated because nobody talk about him at all. But I think in RTA, this guy is incredible. Dark, Snake Guy, or Bird Boy. I think this guy will be in the meme tier if there's a tier like that. Because when he worked, he seemed amazing. He appeared in SWC for a while. Was very funny to see him perform. But due to the lack of consistency and the fact that the bird does very shitty damage, I think they can change the bird or the snake passive to do true damage that doesn't crit or glance. I think that will make the unit way better. But right now, I'm going to put him into the bad tier. Dark Cassandra. Ooh, very popular speed leader and attack buffer for guild content. Also good in RTA, but not super strong. I think she's okay. She requires very good draft and good understanding of cleaving or sniping. But in guild content, I think she's very simple to use and provide very unique support for the team. With the attack buff, the great damage she can do, very solid unit. Like Mercury, I think she's a very strong RTA only unit with a high base speed to contest for turn 1, with a strip into the stun and pushback, and a constant attack bar gain, making her a very, very scary threat in any speed raise in RTA, but not very relevant in other content in the game. Her dark version with the attack buff and the random team up, I think this unit is very good in guild PvP at the moment for defense with Odin or just defense in general, and can be fun to use for offense as well. Not sure about RTA because of the randomness, so I'm gonna go this unit into the guild PvP section because so far that's the place where I see her the most being used in offense and defense. Light Indra. Okay, this guy I think is gonna be underrated for a lot of different content, so I'm gonna put him to A tier. It's like Nephthys and Maxi but without a speed lead, but even more damage with the ability to crit all the time and the extra stun non-stop. So if they make his debuff a bit more consistent, I think he can be really, really good. Dark Indra. AoE provokes slow reflex damage, very fun but not very popular in any content. I want to put Dark Indra into the average tier, or maybe because I see him being used a lot in SWC last pick, I want to put him into the RTA tier. I think he can be a very amazing last pick and very annoying to counter when you don't see him in the early draft, so I think he can be okay. Light Bagger. To be honest, I have never seen this unit in guild PvP. I've only fought her like a couple of times in RTA, and that guy is specialized in turn 2, and she was very, very hard to control because debuff doesn't mean shit to her, and she put debuff back to you, very annoying, so I'm going to put her into the RTA tier. Maybe she's underrated at the moment. Dark Bagger. I'm going to put her into the... Even with the buff, I don't see her being used at all by anybody, but she has a very cool mechanic of transforming into the demon. I'm going to put her into the average tier, but I might be wrong on this one because we don't have enough data and experience, but she might be in the RTA good tier. But for now, I'm going to put her into the average tier. Light Fat Guy. So this guy is going to be in the guild PvP tier. That's why I see him the most on defense and offense, making units stronger and tankier at the same time, but not that much stronger and tankier. So I think he's going to be in the guild PvP tier for now. Potentially he might join the RTA meta, but not at the moment. Twin Angel. I think as of now, they are still not very popular. I'm going to put them into the average tier because I haven't seen much utilization of these units in both RTA and guild PvP. People who have them don't really use them that much, so I can't really tell. So I'm going to put them into the average tier. I've played with them on both. They're a great setup unit for a certain team, but they're still lacking something. I think the moment people start realizing how to use them, they're going to jump straight into the A tier because I think their utility, especially the light one, is actually not bad at all. But for now, with all the things I know about them, I'm going to put them into the average tier. Light Garo, definitely going to be in the average tier, but my personal opinion is that he's going to be in the bad tier because the constant AoE thing that he does is not super good and special. He doesn't do strong control or great damage. He doesn't really do anything well. So I'm going to put him into the bad tier. I hope they buff him soon. Dark Garo is going to join the bad tier as well because the passive doesn't buff his bomb damage when it should. So he just sucks. Sad. Light Siri. Very good damage output. I think I'm going to put Light Siri into the guild PvP tier fast speed scaling damage is always welcome into the roster. Light Trish. Ooh, Light Trish is amazing for TOA. And amazing for Arena Rush, which is kind of PvE as well. You know why I'm going to put Light Trish as the only unit into the PvE tier? Simply because she is really good at doing so. She's also good for your guild content as well. But I think I'm going to put her into PvE tier because fighting guild war defense is also kind of PvE. But because she's good in order PvE, I'm going to put her into the PvE tier. Dark Trish. Not a huge fan of this thing. A lot of condition to be met just to do Lucian kind of damage. So I'm going to put her into the average tier for now because setting her up to do the good damage is very annoying. And she doesn't do that much damage anyway. Dark Yennefer. Okay, I'm going to put Dark Yennefer into the average tier as well. Very fun, constant AoE skill, but definitely not a huge fan of this unit because you need the enemy to take turn to refresh your cooldown, but then you don't want them to take turn at the same time because they can Valen proc out of your control. So I'm going to put it into the average tier. I don't think she does anything crazy or amazing at the moment. Hopefully she's going to get buffed soon. And that is pretty much it for my LD5 tier list at the moment. Hopefully I didn't miss any important LD5. And this is my personal opinion. Maybe all the units in the average tier can be in the A tier, who knows? And maybe some unit in the A tier can be shit because you have them, you know exactly how shit they are, and you can tell me in the comment section down below. And that's it for the video today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.